Hello everybody. Are you guys peeping this gorgeous setup that I have? So professional, so high quality. I got a ring light going right now. I borrowed a camera from Alexia. Thank you, Alexia. All for this video, because this video is not only going to be fun and entertaining for everybody to see, but it is also my final project for my women's gender and sexuality class. So I first had the idea to do some type of video or blog or something about weight and fat phobia and all of that stuff, and my weight journey story with my issues with my body image and all that stuff. When I read this article that I had to read in my gender studies class, the article is entitled "Celebrating Adele's Weight Loss Promotes Fat Phobia and Misogyny." And when I first read the title, I was like, I get it, but also Adele kind of popped off. Like, why shouldn't we be celebrating her great accomplishment? But let me start by explaining my background a little bit. I am Hispanic. I'm from Venezuela, so I'm not really speaking for every country, every Latin American country. I'm really just speaking for my experience and my family in the Venezuelan culture, and what I've witnessed and seen around. But basically, Venezuelans are very, very focused on beauty, and there's very, very, very high beauty standards, and women are held to them very strictly. So that is something that has kind of just been instilled into my mind since a very young age. And it's not anybody's fault, it's just that's the way the culture is, and they just need to have a more progressive view on the issue. But can't help the culture I was brought up into, right? But the article just talks about Adele's weight loss and how she had gotten a divorce, and after her divorce she had lost a bunch of weight. And you know, I'm sure you've seen it if you follow basically anything. She lost a bunch of weight, and you know, all these articles were coming out about Adele's revenge body and how she popped off and she looks amazing. And you know, I agreed. I was like, yeah, good for Adele, like she did good, you know. But it's not all good, because when I kept reading the article, I was like, oh, okay, I understand now, and I'm here to explain it to you. So I'm going to start off with a little quote from this article to kind of help you understand the point of view. So, considering the fact that the anti-fat patriarchy under which we live teaches women that their bodies belong to men even after they've left them, is Adele supposed to feel comforted in the idea that she made the choice to lose weight to spite or get revenge on the man she's divorcing? More to the point, the celebration of her new body is deeply anti-fat and misogynistic, end quote. So after I read that quote and kind of like started reading the article, I was like, whoa there, should I even be trying to lose weight? Like, am I being anti-feminist for losing weight and like being excited about it? And I would say no. For me personally, I have struggled with my weight since I was very, very young, and I've been on every diet, you know, I've tried it all, and either I would lose weight and the weight would come back, or I would just have way too much trouble losing weight. And it's because most of the time the weight on our body is there for a reason, and it's not gonna leave until it needs to leave. So for me, it took a lot of time and mental healing before I was ready to love my body enough and respect it, and the weight loss came from that. So at the same time, I think women should be able to lose weight if that's what they want, as long as they're doing it in a healthy manner. And if you're on a diet right now, girl, me too. Okay, no. And if you're on a journey right now, trying to better yourself, trying to better your physical self as well as your mental self, me too. And in my case, weight loss is a part of that. Not because I want to look good for anybody anymore, but because I want to be healthier for myself. It took me a really long time to realize that instead of hating my body for gaining weight during really hard times, I should thank it for protecting me and keeping me safe and alive and, you know, providing a body for my soul. And that is something that took me a really long time to do. So before I kind of start discussing the aspects of fat phobia that fuel it and, you know, all of that good stuff, I am going to tell you guys my body image, weight, fat journey. So the first time I can remember being self-conscious about the way my body looked, I was in kindergarten on the playground with my besties at the time. They were both blonde and very, very thin girls. Nothing wrong with that, just that was their body type. And I wasn't even fat. I was just a little Hispanic girl with thick thighs and thick arms, and that was it. But I remember being on this little yellow thing. It's like cylindrical, and then you like kind of run on it and you hold on. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'll put a picture right here if I figure out how to do that, and I'll put the name. But anyways, I remember being on that with one of those little blonde friends and looking at their thighs and then looking at mine. And in that moment, and for a while after that, I was wishing to be white because I just wanted to have skinny thighs like the girls in my school and the girls that were around me. And mind you, my school was not very diverse, so I wasn't really exposed to all of that. So for me, I felt so different, so odd, and I was like, I don't want to look like this. I don't want to appreciate that these thick thighs come from Hispanic origins and like immigrated here. Like, this is cool to have these thick thighs. But obviously I was 5 years old and I wanted to look like my playmates. Then around in the 4th grade, I hit 100 pounds, which was a perfectly normal weight for me because I am an early bloomer. I had my first period when I was 10, so naturally, since I had grown into a woman, a Hispanic woman, mind you, so you know what came with it, the boobs, the butt, all of that stuff. So yes, I was 100 pounds. I remember being on the seesaw with my friend who was about, she was very similar to me because she had also gone through puberty earlier, and you know, we were about the same weight, so obviously we were on the seesaw together. You know how that works. Weight gets brought up when you're waiting in line at the seesaw because you want to have the partner that's similar weight to you. Very embarrassing when you hit 100 pounds in 4th grade. But that being said, I was on the seesaw with that friend and everybody had left. We were the last ones in line, and we started discussing our new weight loss plan in 4th grade. So in 4th grade, you're what, like 9 years old? You should not be making weight loss plans. And honestly, it makes me sad thinking about it, thinking that like I spent so much of my time and energy when I was so young worried about extra, like just being a little bit thicker than the other girls. So by age 12, I had started my first Weight Watchers. I started Weight Watchers for the first time, my first subscription or whatever it is program, because I don't know, I guess after I went through puberty, I had gained like a pretty substantial amount of weight. I was really fit in the 7th grade, And then like from the 7th grade to 8th grade I gained a lot of weight, and that's kind of when all of the actual troubles of like trying to lose weight started, because I had gained a pretty decent amount of weight. So before anybody that is watching this gets judgy about my mom putting me in Weight Watchers for the first time when I was so young, like I said before, my culture is very different than the American culture when it comes to being open to speaking about weight and commenting on it and all that stuff. And if you think America's bad, then try being Venezuelan. So my mom is very much genetically like me, so we look a lot alike. I will actually insert a picture right here, a little side by side, so you guys can see. So we're very similar, and we're very similar in like our weight. I don't know, like I gained weight at the same time that she did kind of in her life, and when she saw me starting to gain weight, she was so scared that I was going to go through the same thing that she did. So obviously my mom was quick to react, and I understand her, and I have no problem with it. I think she did what she thought was right, and I think she did what I thought was right too, like, and I don't even think it was that wrong. But I will say that we should be teaching little girls to love their bodies no matter what size, because you don't really know what anybody's going through or why they are the size they are. Many times they are perfectly healthy. So in high school, that's kind of when people start dating, and that is when I got my first little glimpse into the sexist, fat-phobic nature of men and how they think that they own our bodies. But like I mentioned earlier, my weight fluctuates a lot. Like I'm constantly losing, gaining it back, losing it, gaining it back, which I noticed that every time that I was a little bit thinner, so I was a little bit more confident, you know, I was wearing tighter clothes, all that stuff, I would get way more in-person male attention. And when I had gained a little bit weight, I was thicker, I would still get male attention, but a lot of times it was virtually, you know, through Snapchat, Instagram, text, whatever. But God forbid I get taken out, you know, on a date or whatever, or even if for some reason the guy does take me out and we go out to eat, many times it would be somewhere where nobody was, and when it came to seeing, you know, being out in public together, like we didn't really know each other that much. So that's something that I've really noticed, being a thicker girl in this society. Many men are so quick to fetishize, you know, watch porn of fat women and even have sex with them and all of that. But when it comes to having any type of romantic relationship with a fat girl, God forbid they be seen, because they are so scared of the idea of being seen with somebody with a body type that is not ideal. Like, who made up the ideal body type is my question. Another article I had to read for my class was Embodying Fat Liberation by Heather McAllister. And Heather McAllister is a fat burlesque dancer, and she kind of revolutionized the idea of fat burlesque. The article is really cool, so I would recommend listing it below. But to draw a little quote from this article: just being fat and positively sexual is radical in a culture thoroughly inculcated with sexism and anti-fat prejudice. I'm sorry about the word inculcated. I cannot get it. People are so fascinated by the idea of a fat person being sexual and, you know, wanting sexual behaviors, that people tend to fetishize it, and they think of fat women as almost creatures. So moving on with my story, we could say, in college I I had already gained a pretty decent amount of weight, so I went into college, you know, the same weight that I graduated high school with, I guess. So I went into college, you know, already pretty insecure because I had been wanting to lose weight for a while, but like it just was not clicking. So when college started, I tried going out a few times, and then I found myself always making excuses as to why I didn't want to go out. I would always say I was tired. I mean, mind you, I was tired and everything, but I know that the hindering reason as to why I never really wanted to go out was because I was just so insecure. And in this culture and in these parties that I go to, the college, you know, SEC culture, if you're not pretty or skinny, the frat guys won't come and talk to you. And it's not that I wanted any romantic attention from a frat guy. I didn't want to dance, like I didn't want to hook up with them, none of that. But when you go to a party, me personally, I want to interact with everybody, and it's so hurtful. And when you're already insecure about your weight, the first thing you're gonna think is, these guys don't want to talk to me because I'm bigger. And it's true. When you look around, the common denominator is that all of those girls are skinny and I'm not. I'm still in college, obviously, and I continue to struggle. In February of 2020, I started dating my now ex-boyfriend, and I remember thinking, wow, I am the most secure I've ever been. Like, I feel the best about myself. Like, I feel pretty, I feel hot. And after we broke up, like, I really had to like come back and, you know, acknowledge that, because it is not okay that I'm using a guy in a relationship to base how I feel about myself and about my body. And that was not okay. That is not okay. And that is just another example of how we have been taught in society, and we have been forced to give our bodies up. Our bodies aren't ours, and we don't have control of them. I don't even have control of how I feel about my body. It really took me a lot of, you know, thought and mental healing. I, like many other people, have had my fair share of mental illness problems, and a lot of my weight issues can be a little bit to blame for that. But this year, 2020, I told myself that I was going to just literally focus on myself. I was going to better myself mentally, physically. I was going to start treating my body with respect like it deserves. And I know what you may be thinking, you know, like, blah, 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 we get it, New Year's resolution, better yourself. And like, I'm not trying to preach anything to you here, but this year, for some reason, it felt different. I really felt emotionally ready and strong enough to start respecting myself and actually putting in the effort to be a happier person. And in my case, weight loss was part of it. I think people should be able to eat whatever makes them happy and whatever makes them feel good. And for me personally, eating healthier, eating vegetables and fruits makes me feel good, and it makes my body feel better. I feel more energized. And since I have been doing that and working out, which also makes me feel amazing, weight loss has come from that. But I had to make sure first that I was in a place where I wasn't losing weight for anybody. I wasn't even losing weight to look good. I was losing weight. I need to lose weight, I know, to feel better, to move quicker, to be able to lead the lifestyle that I want to live. What really sparked me to kind of start making the change was on New Year's Eve, I was with my family. We had gone to Alabama, and we all dress up for New Year's Eve. It's a tradition, and I just felt so shitty. Sorry for the language, but I felt so shitty. And I felt ugly. All the girls around me, you know, my cousins, my sisters, all the girls around me were so much skinnier than me, and they just looked better. So naturally, I was just so insecure, so I felt like crap. I didn't want to be photographed. Like, God forbid you try to catch me off guard. No, thank you. And I could tell my dad noticed, and we kind of talked about it a little bit after the trip, and I know that I made him upset. Like, it upset him to see me feel so insecure about myself. So I just realized that me hating myself, hating my body, was hurting me, but it was also hurting people who love me. And that's not okay, because I don't want to hurt the people who love me. I love them. So I decided at the beginning of the year to start, like I said before, you know, making lifestyle changes. And so far I have been the happiest I've ever been. Just been treating myself kindly, and from it I've lost 20 pounds and I feel amazing, and I'm still working to continue to better myself, to increase my stamina, to just be more fit, and none of it is for looks, and it really shouldn't be for looks ever. It really should be because that's how you want to feel on the inside, and you want to feel good about yourself, and women should be allowed to do whatever they want. That is my story up until now. I'm doing really, really well, and if you know me, you know I've struggled with that for a while, but I am the happiest I've ever been. So now that that's over with, let's talk about fat-phobia and fat studies more in depth. First, I want to unpack a little bit the fact that men are so frightened to be romantically involved publicly with a fat girl. Why is it that men are so scared and frightened that a woman with extra fat or who's bigger than them is going to hurt their image so much? Another example of this would be, I know there's this couple on TikTok, I'm not really sure what their name is and stuff, and I think there might be multiple. It is a fat woman and a very, very fit, thin husband. And they are so famous, you know, they have tons of followers. People are so fascinated by the idea of this bigger woman being with this extremely, you know, fit, you know, typical attractive looking guy. But why are people so fascinated by it? So in her article, Heather McAllister talks a little bit about the term living from the neck up, which I so relate to, because whenever I have gained weight and I'm feeling insecure and stuff, like, I am trying to hide my lower body as much as possible. Pictures neck up, everything neck up. Like, I do not want anybody to be seen. Like I said before, do not catch me off guard. I don't want any candids unless they're of just my face, because I'm just so terrified. And I have Tinder and, like, you know, those dating profiles and stuff, but I never end up going on a date with them, because God forbid that they see me in person and think that I am fatter in person. No, thank you. That is too scary. So she kind of talks about how this living from the neck up has to stop, and fat people need to just embrace their fat, and just let it be there. Don't try to hide it because some other people have fat-phobic agendas. It's your fat and you do what you want with it. Another thing to keep in mind is that fat isn't always unhealthy, and it was discussed a little bit in the article by Harrison, the Adele article, and in another article titled 11 Reasons Your Phony Concern for Fat People's Health Has Got to Stop by Melissa Fabello. And basically, people are so sure that being fat is going to kill you, and it's not even that true. It's been extremely exaggerated. And in fact, in 2004, a CDC-sponsored study released some data about the deaths per year of people with obesity. or being related to overweightness, I guess. And they released like a really huge number, 350,000. So everybody took that information and ran with it, you know, like, wow, look at all these people that are dying from obesity. Well, in 2005, that same journal actually reanalyzed the results, and it turns out that the number is actually closer to 25,000 deaths per year, which is a 94% difference. You are pretty much more likely to die in a car accident than you are from being obese. If you're leading a healthy lifestyle and nourishing your body the right way, and you're still fat, then clearly that is the way that your body was meant to be. The only person that should really be able to comment on your weight and if it's unhealthy or not should be your doctor. There is no reason for anybody to have to say anything about your weight. Some people are just genetically thicker and some are genetically thinner. It's so horrible for you to tell a little girl that came out naturally thicker that she is going to need to struggle all her life to live up to these impossible beauty standards. If she wants to find a man, be successful, we as a society need to show people that being fat is not a synonym for unhappy or suffering or unhealthy. It's simply not at all. So my next point of discussion is fat-phobia and the capitalist agenda. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about capitalism. I'm not going to dig too deep into capitalism in general because, to be completely honest, capitalism is a topic that gives me anxiety to speak about because I feel very uneducated about it, but let's dive in. As you guys probably know from being a member of this society, the ideal body image is plastered everywhere and drilled into our minds from the moment we can talk and read and view anything. We are told from early on that we need to look a certain way in order to be considered healthy, and that if you don't look a certain way, then clearly you are unhealthy and you have diabetes and you are nasty. And where do you go when you are being told that you are fat and ugly? The billion-dollar diet industry. People are spending so much money trying to get the perfect figure when there is not one perfect figure. I included. Do you really think these health companies actually care about your health? Or have you ever thought that maybe all they care about is making a profit? The health industry is selling us these fad diets where we're supposed to follow these instructions and we'll lose a set amount of weight. Many of them include starving yourself. First of all, these diets are not ever going to be sustainable because the people making these don't know your life. They don't know your lifestyle, your background, what works with your body, what your natural body weight should be. So that being said, you're almost always bound to bounce back and gain the weight again. So even if they do work, which many times they do, many times you can lose a quick few pounds, but you're gonna gain them right back because these diets are not natural. And guess where you're going when you gain all the weight back? Right back to the health industry to find a new, different way to lose weight. If you really begin to dive into all the different ways there are to lose weight, your mind will be blown. There's wraps, cool sculpting, multiple different types of procedures, all the different fitness things that they have, all the different fitness, types of gyms, all that stuff is part of it. All that stuff is trying to sell us this dream body that not many people can attain because we are not naturally or genetically supposed to look like that, or to have those abs, or to have that huge, beautiful, juicy butt. Some of us just can't. This might have been a little bit rambly, and I really hope that I made my point clear. Fat phobia is just such a big problem in the world, but definitely in the United States, and it's something that does need to be dealt with. And like many of these articles said, we need to just start normalizing being fat, not fetishizing fat people just because they're fat. Many times in the media and on TV shows and movies, and just in pop culture in general, many fat women are judged and put in very specific roles because they are fat. When you take a look at, you know, the Melissa McCarthy's of the world and Rebel Wilson and stuff, these are incredibly talented women that many times are being squished into this little box of, you know, the funny fat girl, or the nasty, you know, whatever fat girl. They're almost never put into roles where they're, you know, the leading romantic lady, you know, the one that the guy falls for. And that is one really big step that this society needs to take in order to combat these horrible fat-phobic ideologies that stem from misogyny and sexism and just patriarchal thinking. And it's really just harming our generation of girls and boys. So another little point that I had forgotten to add before, I just like completely skipped over it on my notes, was just the idea of the BMI scale and how much bullshit it is. The BMI scale was created in the 19th century by this Belgian guy named Lambert Adolf Jacques Quetelet. He wasn't even a scientist or a physician or anything. He was a mathematician, so I mean, I'm sure he was smart, but it was basically just a quick formula that he created to help figure out the degree of obesity of the general public, whatever that is, as if all the general public is going to have the same like body and, you know, body function. I've for a while have thought that the BMI scale is bogus, because every time that I've put in my measurements, at least recently, it will tell me that I am severely overweight. I know I'm a little, like, I can be chunky, but I'm not obese. I'm not dying. I don't have diabetes, like none of that. So imagine what all the little girls think when they see that their BMI is off the charts as well. How do you think they're going to feel about themselves when the BMI scale doesn't take anything into consideration? It doesn't take in genetics, it doesn't take in ethnicity, race, nothing. And all those things play a really huge role in our weight. So it's really frustrating when we're being told that we're obese and super unhealthy when we're not. Also, we'll go running to the health industry to help us lose weight. I just really hope for anybody who watches this video, I just hope that y'all, I don't know, maybe learned something, gained a new perspective. There's so much for me to learn about all of the stuff I just talked about. I'm barely scraping the surface, but I do think this topic is super interesting, and I think it's a huge problem around the world that we need to face. Fat people are being treated completely differently, made to feel less than, excluded, all because of some extra weight. It all stems from the same place that racism stemmed from, and sexism, and all of it. This, which is capitalism, and white men wanting to control everything and be superior in every possible way. And if that means that making fat women feel like shit because they're embarrassed, they will have no problem doing it. So if you are watching this video, like I said, I really hope that you guys have learned something. And if you're watching this and you are struggling with your self-image and your weight and all that stuff, hang in there. Once the second that you start loving yourself and treating your body with respect, everything is going to fall into place, and I promise you the weight will come off with it if it needs to come off. And don't force anything upon yourself. It's so easy to fall into these traps, whether it's the media telling you that you need to lose weight and it's trying to sell you on weight loss pills, or you're trying to change yourself for another person. Don't let the capitalist agenda or any sexist, fat-phobic male tell you that you need to change your body because it's ugly or not worthy. Your body is there to protect you and to keep you going, and that's exactly what it's doing. So don't hate on it for gaining extra weight. It's completely normal and it's okay, and there's beauty and there's people that will love you for who you are. It's so easy to fall into the trap and to start hating your body, and I'm sure that I will fall into the trap many more times because I'm human and I make mistakes. But I will say that your body and women's bodies are so freaking incredible that if you dare judge it for looking a certain way, respectfully, you. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely applaud the YouTubers that like do this all the time because this is pretty intense, but I really enjoy doing this and I kind of want to do it again. And I hope you enjoyed the makeup here. I'll get a little closer, give you like a look. Can I do that? How do I zoom with this? Oh, was that ugly? So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you did, please comment below your thoughts and opinions. I would love to discuss any new ideas about fat phobia or just fat studies that you might know of that I didn't mention, because like I said before, I have barely scratched the surface of this topic. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll post another video one day. I don't have a schedule though, so